My name is Matt Gaetz. I come from the wing of the Republican Party that is only loyal to one nation, and that is the United States of America. I flew in today, and that means I had to get to the airport about 3 days ago. And I just think that as the moms are in these long lines with their screaming children, and as business travelers are seeing deals erode because they can't get through TSA, as TSA workers are showing up and not getting paid, and as romantic lovebirds are seeing their weekend getaways truncated, we should just use the airport broadcast system to put out Chuck Schumer's phone number. Not paying TSA and our cybersecurity professionals and those protecting America's networks and critical infrastructure, not paying those people and shutting them down is not legislative strategy, it is retarded. I stand with President Trump. The Senate should convene immediately, reopen the government, and pass the Save America Act for voter ID and proof of citizenship in every election in this country. Demanding an ID to vote is not racist. Actually, saying that demanding an ID to vote is racist is what's racist. It is so nice to live in the era of free speech again under President Trump and Vice President Vance. It felt like every moment in the Biden years, if we said a true thing about vaccine side effects or indicated that we supported building a wall or the rights of gun owners, that somehow we were labeled domestic terrorists, a threat to our nation. Well, I am proud to host the Matt Gaetz Show at One America News every night at 9 o'clock Eastern, where we stand up for free speech. I also want to thank President Trump's chairman of the FCC, Brendan Carr. He has stopped the weaponization of the communication system against conservatives and against the people who love our country, as we should. And it's not often you get to thank the FBI on a free speech issue. But I am grateful that one of the first things FBI Director Kash Patel did was end the cooperation between the FBI and the Anti-Defamation League, or as Elon Musk calls them, the Defamation League. Matter of fact, the FBI should never be partnering with the ADL. The ADL is an anti-white, anti-Christian hate group, and they should be investigated as such. We are facing the midterms soon, and let me offer two pieces of advice. First, I don't know how they're going to go, but for 9 more months, we have the presidency, we have the House, and we have the Senate. We have a majority. I think we should take it out for a spin. I think we should actually use it. If a woman can bake a baby inside her belly for 9 months, certainly congressional Republicans could bake up a few ideas to put on President Trump's desk. How about this? No more breaks, no more vacation. Wake up, say the prayer, say the pledge, and whether it is ending men and women's sports, voter ID, proof of citizenship, ending transgender surgeries on children, asylum reform, end to birthright citizenship, or access to IVF, we should be codifying President Trump's executive orders every day. And by the way, we heard Senator Thune tell us that time was the coin of the realm in the Senate, and they might not have time to get to something like voter ID. And the same week, senators held a 2-hour Mardi Gras-themed dog parade. If Democrats want to be against the things we believe, strong borders, strong families, and a strong country, make them stand up and say it in a talking filibuster. You shouldn't be able to stand in the way of American greatness with an email to a scheduler. I have another bit of advice. We cannot move into these midterms with self-inflicted wounds. We have to end this cancel culture that is now occurring on the right. Dissent and disagreement has to be allowed. Tucker Carlson isn't going anywhere. I didn't bring a list of people to denounce or disclaim, and anti-Semitism isn't hiding around every corner and in every bush. President Trump is a builder. He understands that politics is an exercise in addition, not subtraction and division. And so while I may not agree with the likes of Mark Levin or Ben Shapiro or Mike Huckabee that we have some sort of near slavish loyalty to a country in a faraway land, I would walk across hot coals arm in arm with those individuals to stop the Democrats from turning America into a more transsexual version of Venezuela. When you may have heard, there was a brief period I was nominated for a job in this government, and I had a senator ask me, a Republican senator who didn't really like President Trump, well, Matt, can you ever think of a circumstance where you ever disagreed with President Trump, where you had a difference of opinion? They wanted to make it look like there was no separation ever. And I said, well, there was one story. I was at the funeral of one of my constituents who had died wearing the uniform in Afghanistan, and President Trump called me, and I had indicated that I would be voting against presidential war powers in Iran. And I'll never forget what President Trump told me in that conversation. He said, Matt, I won't bust your balls over this. But in the end, it was President Trump's vision that kept us out of a war then, and I certainly hope that the poly-market prediction that says that there's a 71% chance that ground troops go into Iran is false. I want President Trump to have every diplomatic tool at his disposal, and I do trust that he knows a great deal more than I do. But a ground invasion of Iran will make our country poorer and less safe. It will mean higher gas prices, higher food prices, and I'm not sure we would end up killing more terrorists than we would create. In Iraq, we stayed for decades in Iraq, and we ended up giving the country to Iran. We ended up with 20 years in Afghanistan, and we just ended up giving it back to the Taliban after that period of time. And so maybe unconditional surrender in Iran looks like this. Didn't they just pick a gay Ayatollah? Like, I just think that's Asalama fabulous. I think a gay Ayatollah in charge of Iran is definitely mission accomplished. I'm not for Pride Month in June in the United States, but I'm not entirely sure I'm against it in Iran. At the end of the day, we indeed must stick together, and indeed we must reject where the left is taking us. I recall one conversation I had in Iowa campaigning for President Trump. I went into a little coffee shop, freezing cold, and a barista walks out and she said, "Oh, Congressman Gaetz, my boyfriend is going to be so mad he's not here. He's a big fan and wanted to meet you. Can we take a photo?" And I said, "Well, sure, but will you go and caucus for President Trump?" She said, "Oh, I'll do that." I said, "Well, if we send it to your boyfriend, will he go caucus for President Trump?" And she looked at me with that steely-eyed Midwestern grit and said, "Congressman, I'm not just going to make my boyfriend caucus for Donald Trump. I'm going to make all of my ex-boyfriends caucus for him too." And so in these midterms, call your in-laws and your outlaws, your vexes and your exes. Get out and vote. Stop Hakeem Jeffries from becoming the Speaker of the House, and let us continue the golden age of America together. Thank you all so much.